Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Tuesday Night Racing here at WSRL. We are at the last race of the season, season number 3, race number 8, here at the virtual track at Suzuka. I am Mike Braun, your lead commentator tonight. I am joined tonight by Daniel Hall, and he will be subbing in as our guest producer tonight. We're doing some things a little bit different. Normally we are broadcasted by slow motion with some things that kind of came over in real life that Adam was not able to come do it tonight. So me and Daniel slid in, and we're going to do our damnedest to do what we can for the last race of the season. So Daniel, we're kind of watching a little bit of qualifying right here. But I know we've made it through this whole season. This is the last race of the year. What do you think it's going to be like here at Suzuka?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's a great classic track, home to a lot of Formula One Grand Prix and some endurance races as well. So this track suits these cars pretty well, and it'll be a fun race to watch.
Definitely. So as we're watching the guys come around for their qualifying run, let's run over some points as the last race of the season is up right now. This is your points total with the one throwout race already done in it. So as we pull up the GTP class, you see Aubrey Cundell is now out in front as we're watching Aubrey go down the back straight right now. Aubrey out in front with 31.41. Justin Barrera not too far back in second, so there's still anyone's battle here for the lead, the win in GTP class. Matt Green jumping up into the third spot by just being Mr. Consistency. 2,800 points for Matt. Then you got Grant Turner in the fourth spot and Ricardo Serrano in fifth. Then we'll jump over to the LMP2 class, and you'll see our good friend Jack Lee out in front, 3,224 points. In the second spot is Elliot Burton with 3,160. Braden Carroll with 29.12 in third. Leon Clover in fourth with 29.05. Real close to Braden there. And Lilac Zier rounding out your top 5 with 2,730 points. Then we'll jump over into the GT3 class and look at points here. The Pro-Am class, you've got Adam Day out in front, 31.14. JD Daniel in the second spot with 30.19. Joey Rutledge running in third, doing having a great season this year, 27.30. Bobby Flack in the fourth spot with 27.02, and Justin Hall in the fifth spot, 26.17. And then your amateur class in the GT3 division. Our points is going to pop up here in a second. And then that is going to be Alan Paris out in front and stretching away. 2,495 points from Alan. He's really done a great job over the last few races to start pulling away. Zach Robinson jumping up into that second spot now with 21.83. Billy Bowerman dropping down into the third spot, 21.01. Andrew Korostecki in the fourth spot at 19.60. And Eric Rodriguez rounding out your top 5, having a great season this year, 18.63 for Eric in the fifth spot. That is all your points. This is the last race of the season. We are going to be closing it up after this. And then we're going to take this probably a little short break before we start bringing this next season up. And then there might be a name change to the league as well. So we'll keep those details coming as we get close. But we're just over halfway through the session right now. And in the GTP class, it looks like Carson Keene out in front right now as the fast car, 143.7. As we're watching Aubrey come around right now. And we got Ricardo Serrano in the second spot. Aubrey Cundell in third. As we'll kind of watch, here we go, Jack Lee right now coming around the track right now. As we're watching Jack. Jack is setting the pace right now in the LMP2 class. And sitting in the second spot is Leon Clover. Jumping over into the GT3 class right now, we got Diego Ari out in front in that traditional BMW for the guy. Got a great run right now, 159.5 for Diego. As we're watching him come around right now. In the second spot is Adam Day. And then we're jumping back to the 221 car of Adam Day in that Audi right now, coming around, coming through a pretty tough section right now. Through that into that hairpin section right now. This is one of the most brutal sections, but in the Audi it should be real nice for him as he comes through there and up into spoon curve. So this is a real tricky section for any of these rear engine cars. I know a few guys were having some challenges, Daniel, with the Porsches coming through this section, and we were watching a little bit of practice, and some guys were having a lot of problems with this spoon turn tonight.
Yeah, it seems like some of the mid-engines, and especially the rear engine, as we see Adam go around right here. But they definitely seem to be a little unstable here through spoon, and then up the straightaway a little bit at 130R. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on, as we might see some carnage there if drivers aren't too careful.
Yeah, just as we were talking about it, Adam just shows us exactly what we're talking about. But Adam is sitting in that second spot. He was looking to try to probably push just a little bit harder and just kind of jumped over the edge there, and he's going to probably concede to take that second spot. As we're watching Billy Bowerman coming around right now, looks like he's going to be coming into that last section. Oh, he got a little hairy coming through the 130R and just tags the wall. But Billy's sitting in that 8th spot right now. Good showing from Billy right now, and that is our fastest amateur right now, is Billy in that top 10 spot right now. So good showing from Billy right now as we're starting to close in on practice. Got about 1 minute left to go as we jump over to see looks like Lilac Zier out there on the track right now in that LMP2 car. Not many cars left on the track. Just everybody maybe try to finalize their last few little laps, get a last little feel for brakes and whatnot before we get this 1 hour party started. So, as we mentioned earlier, Slow Motion is normally the ones that does our broadcast, and Daniel and I are stepping in tonight as there was some difficulties with getting the production trailer over to the virtual Japan and get us on the air here. So Daniel and I are stepping in and looking to get this broadcast going for you guys. So we hope you enjoy it tonight as we're closing in on qualifying. 9:45 down, so 15 seconds left. Everybody should be in their solid positions right now. Daniel, what do you think we're going to be looking for that race tonight? Do you think these guys are going to come out pretty good, or is it going to be like no holds barred?
I think we're going to see a mix of it. I think we're going to see anybody that needs the points is going to be really aggressive, and anybody that's kind of out front just take it easy and get as many points as they can to finish off the season strong.
That does sound like it. So as we are getting ready to start our grid, give me 1 second here. Trying to update everybody in a million different places. So we're coming up on right now, we're on our grid. Our pole sitter right now is Carson Keene in that GTP class. Then Ricardo Serrano just 1/10 of a second back in that second spot. Aubrey Condell will be starting 3rd. Justin Barrera in 4th. Matt Green in the 5th spot, and Grant Turner in 6th. Then in the 7th spot will be your first LMP2 car. That is Jack Lee, with Leon Clover starting right next to him. And then right behind them will be Leon Clover in the 8th spot. Right next to him is Elliot Burton. And then we've got Lilac Zier, Braden Carroll in your LMP2 class. And then in the GT3 class, you've got Diego Airy sitting on the pole for the GT3 class. I've raced many leagues with Diego, and it's good to see him up front right now. Then you got Adam Day will be next to him in the 13th spot. J.D. Daniel next to him. Then Will Coffey and Bobby Flack in the 16th spot. Then right next to Bobby will be John Javecki and Joey Rutledge. Billy Bowerman, your first amateur guy. Then you've got Matthew Dweeder next to him. Alan Paris, the next am, right behind Billy in the lineup. Then Christopher Daniel in 22nd. 23rd will be Zach Robinson. Dominic Angelicchio will be in the 24th spot. In 25th, Jay Fuller. Andrew Korostecki in the 26th spot. Eric Rodriguez in 27th. Stephen Finch 28th. Bradley Alvis in 29th. And Kevin Medina rounding out our field with 30 cars gridding up. So with our league, we do have a starting point for these guys to do a starting zone down the front straightaway, so it's not like anybody can run away and hide from these guys. So you see our 5 or 6 GTP cars coming through the chicane right now and waiting to get onto that front straightaway, so they can't just jump away and run away and hide. So we're waiting for them to get into that starting zone, which is just after the turn right here and onto the straight. And there we go, Carson Keene jumping out into that early lead with Ricardo Serrano sitting him in the second spot right behind him. So these guys are nose to tail down here, but we're still waiting for our LMP2 cars to come out of the chicane back there. And here they come right now. Jack Lee leading the way down the straightaway. Jack's had a great season so far, and he's looking to get a good jump, and there he goes down the straightaway. Here comes, you see a whole pack of GT3 cars coming into the frame right behind him, a whole pack of them there, and Diego just holding them back just a bit and get started. So here comes your about 20 some odd GT3 cars down the straightaway and into a very tricky section. Oh, and you see a couple cars get together. It's a Porsche, and it looks like Billy Bowerman and the Audi getting tangled up. Billy getting hung up into the sand up there, able to get back on the track and back down, but I'm not quite sure what happened to those two right there on the start. Looks like somebody just was trying to take too much ground from each other, and they just got tangled together in the Porsche of Alan Parrish. That looked like Alan getting tangled. Yep, they just got together somehow, and just trying to take that same real estate from each other. And Daniel, looks like Alan is starting to scratch the field with some damage already.
Yeah, that's not how he wanted to start his race. That's for sure.
Definitely not, as you see Billy back in the groove in the 10th spot right now with some damage on his car as well. As we go back up front in the GTP class, Carson Keene out in front. Looks like he's got a new co-driver as his little avatar picture there of his cat. So he is going to be leading the way through the chicane for the first time. He's got about a half-second advantage on Ricardo Serrano as they come down the front straight to complete the first lap. Carson Keene now opening up to a 1-second advantage on Ricardo Serrano. Aubrey Condell in the 3rd spot. Justin Barrera, that fuel mileage master, sitting in the 4th spot. Matt Green in 5th, and Grant Turner running in the 6th spot. So these guys are starting to separate just a little bit. As you see on the scoreboard on the left side, Jack Lee out in front in that LMP2 class. He's got about a 9/10 of a second, so just under a full second advantage on Elliott Burton. Leon Clover about a 1.5 back, so you see these guys starting to stretch out just a little bit too. Braden Carroll dropping back quite a bit. Must have had some problems on that first lap to cause him to drop back. He's not usually that far back behind these guys, so he must have had a little one-off or whatnot. But now you got your GT3 cars going to be coming around and should be coming by the line. Yep, just got to see timing and scoring going off. You've got Diego Airy out in front in that 277 BMW. Adam Day not too far back in that Audi, closing in through the S's right now, through that snake section. And then they're coming into Dunlap turn right now. Right about here is where they're coming into Dunlap, and this is a good section right here as you just kind of start carrying your speed up the hill and trying to get that pull. That BMW trying to pull away from that Audi, but Adam Day is not having it. He is tucked in behind that wing and looking to get a little draft on to hopefully save some fuel. As we got just over 3 minutes down. Looks like we have another incident here. What do we got, Daniel?
Looks like Matthew Dweeter going off in the chicane. Gets a little bit of the grass on the right side and just carries him around and into the pit lane opening.
Ooh, that's an awkward spot to be, and trying to rejoin as well. He's getting it around. Hopefully it doesn't cause him any penalty for going backwards in the pits, but he might be good to keep going there. But we go back up front with our GT3 leader, Diego Airy and Adam Day, coming around the good old spoon turn. That is a challenge in some cars, but this next section right here is super tricky. Flat out in these cars with cold tires. Oh, so we got an incident back in the GTP class. It looks like Ricardo Serrano dropping back to the 5th spot. I saw him get tangled up with somebody, and I wasn't quite sure who that was off the track. Let's see if we can get a.
Looks like it might be Justin Barrera.
Looks like Ricardo comes across the track on the brakes, and he just clips Justin a tiny little bit. Ricardo was hard on the brakes. You could see him with his tires locked up, trying to avoid that contact. But once you're on the grass in iRacing, man, it's just nothing but ice for you, and it's so hard to get slowed down. So that I'm sure that was not on fault for Ricardo trying to do that. He was trying to stay away from Justin, but that is a tough break for Justin. He's now 4.5 seconds behind Ricardo Serrano in that 6th spot once he got going. So that might have changed his game plan a little bit and might have to start pushing a little bit harder, but I'm not sure what the fuel mileage looked like from these guys. I didn't get any testing with them earlier, Daniel, but have you seen any fuel mileage numbers from these guys for this track?
Yeah, I don't know what to expect, but it looks like Justin Burr is not too damaged from that run-in, so he might still be able to work some fuel-saving magic that he's known for, so would not be surprised if we see some of that.
For sure. So you see he come back by the line with 156 that time by, so a little slower lap from him. As we're jumping on board to watch Stephen Finch come around and just gets a little sideways, so these tires are still just not quite up to temp, and he's able to not get backed into somebody, and then he's trying to make a 3-point turn. Oh man, into the 269 car of Matthew Dweeter. So it goes from bad to worse for Dweeter. The poor guy just spun out in pit lane, and now he gets tangled up with Stephen Finch. So tough break for those two guys there. But we're back up front in the GT3 class. Diego Ari out in front, but he is on pressure right now from Adam Day as they're coming into 130R right now. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that doesn't 130R. That was the Dunlop turn. No, that's the last section.
It was 130R.
It was 130R. See, I did know what I was talking about for a minute or two. But
here you go. I'll help you out a little bit.
There we go. That's what I'm waiting for. Our trusty track map up on the board. We've got our black cars out in front, and that is your LMP2 cars, and then the pink ones will be your GTP class, and then all those little blue dots are your GT3 cars, and then the yellow highlighted car is the one that we are keyed in on. So right now we're watching the 277 car of Diego Ari out in front. They're coming through the snake section, that S section right now, and he starts to try to carry as much speed through this last section that he can and try to get away from Adam Day, but Adam is just sticking in with about a half second of him right now. But closing in behind Adam is JD Daniel. JD was dropped back just a little tiny bit, but he is now about a half second behind Adam. Not too far behind them is Will Coffey. A good surprise showing from Will right now, as earlier on he said that he wasn't feeling too well, and he was able to get out here and actually join us tonight. So it's good to see Will out here and running in the 4th spot. He sounded like he really felt really bad, so hopefully he's able to get some good cough medicine in him and hang on to it. But as we watch the car in the pits right now, that is John Javecki. I think he's one of the ones that was mentioning in Discord about having some problems with the 130R, so not quite sure what happened to him there. But as we come back on board right now with the 16th place car of Kevin Medina coming through turns 1 and 2. That, when I first started running on this track, that was probably my worst turn, is trying to carry so much speed through 1 and 2. I think, Daniel, you and I were testing for the 12-hour race, and I was probably using some late words that I don't normally use coming through that section.
Yeah, that is a tricky section to get right for sure. You got to push it just hard enough, but you see what happens when something goes wrong. I'm trying to find what happened to John Javicki, why he was in the pits. I think this might be it. Oh yeah, I got too much curb and just kind of chased him around and into the barrier. So that is unfortunate for him. He was not able to get back going. So he jumped back all the way to the pits.
Tough break for John. He's had a great season this year, as have all the Mad Sim guys sitting in the pits right now. But as we jump back up on the lead with our GTP car of Carson Keene starting to cut through some lap traffic, maybe we can do a little onboard with Carson and just kind of follow him around for a lap just to kind of see what this looks like as we're coming through the snake section, that tight S section where you're trying to carry so much speed and trying to get these guys, lap cars, as Carson does a great job coming around the outside as we come through the Dunlap turn now over that crest, and you just come hard on the throttle down here, trying to carry much as you can, and then hard under braking into this section here. Ooh, you see him get a little sideways. Looks like he's coming up on Billy Bowerman to put him a lap down. And as he's starting to close in on that hairpin section, super tight section, and if you get a whole bunch of cars backed up here, it can be real detrimental to you. But coming through the section now, he's up onto the 7th place car in GT3 of Joey Rutledge. Around the outside, looks like he got maybe a tire off in the grass there, but Carson doing a great job to keep it under control. And then here comes that spoon section, that super double apex, real late, real soft on the throttle here because it's almost off camber. And now he's coming up on your leaders in the GT3 class. So it's going to start getting tricky here as you got a whole bunch of these guys running together, nose to tail. And he does the right thing and kind of checks up just a little bit through 130R because that can get so hairy. And then he gets by Bobby Flack there, and then he's starting to come in on the back of Will Coffey. So they're coming through that last chicane and onto the front straightaway. That's a 4-way battle right now for the lead. And these guys are still duking it out. He's just going to go by on the outside. These guys just let him go and come down the front straightaway. So that is basically a lap here with Carson Keene, your GTP class leader right now. And Carson already opened up to a 3.5-second advantage lead on Aubrey Cundell. Carson ran with us earlier in the season and had some good outings, and then missed a few races for us and kind of dropped down in points, but right now he is out in front and pulling away. He's got a 5.5-second advantage as Aubrey's now having to come through that lap traffic that Carson just came through. So Carson able to pull away, and that because that S section is so brutal to try to get through that lap traffic. So Carson leading the way right now as we're just over 11 minutes down. We still have 48 minutes to go, Daniel. So this is still going to be a long race for these guys. We're jumping back to your good buddy Jack Lee leading the way in LMP2 class. Looks like he's already starting to pull away, Daniel.
Yeah, he's up to a 6.5, almost 7-second lead over second place Leon Clover. So he has figured something out, and he's continuing kind of his dominant ways that he's had all season. So yeah, he's looking to seal up the championship with a good run today. That's for sure.
It's been good to see Jack running away. I mean, he's done a fantastic job. He's really progressed in his racecraft, which is one of the things we've really strived for with the league is having guys learn their racecraft. So guys like Jack Lee and another one is Joey Rutledge. I mean, he's another one that progressively over the seasons has gotten stronger and faster, and it's good to see these guys get better and start leading some races and being out in front. As we look back at Joey, he's sitting in the 7th spot right now, but I hear some tires squealing. It looks like Billy Bowerman jumping off the track there.
Yeah, Billy went off. There's another car going through, and there's a GTP right in front of him.
Man, that's all kinds of a mess right here in front of Joey.
It's like Grant Turner.
Yeah, yep. Not sure what the heck happened there, but then there's a car dead at the end of the straightaway too. Not sure what the heck's all happening here all at one time, Daniel.
Yeah, we'll have to pull up a replay and see what happened. Here is Grant. Oh, he went wide. I can't tell if there was any contact there with him in the 266 of JD Daniel. He come back on. Oh, he gets into the 40 car there. That was Matt Green. Just all sorts of chaos. So let's see if we can find JD. This is the end of his wreck. We got Billy coming behind him. Looks like he got off early in 130R and just slid all the way. You mentioned it earlier, that grass, once you're on there, and it's not slowing you down very much. So
yeah,
that's
that line in 130R is so tight. You really have to swing way wide, and sometimes you can suck a tire off, and that just gets you sideways coming into the turn, and then you're messed up from there. As we see Kevin Medina coming down, and it looks like he just parks it into the straightaway. I don't know if he's just trying to stay out of the way of everybody or if he had problems, but he's kind of sitting here in a kind of a precarious position, and it looks like he was just kind of waiting for the whole field to go by. Might have been a better option to kind of stay in the pits and do that, but he may not have realized his relative was full of cars coming and just did the right thing and just kind of stayed out of the way and not get tangled up with everybody. as we're coming back to Grant Turner in the 5th spot. Looks like he's got Ricardo Serrano in 6th, right behind him as they're coming down the straightaway. Ricardo kind of draft down on Grant as they're coming into turn 1. We talked about this turn being a little tricky. It's kind of a double apex as well, so you try to dive into that first section, just real trail brake it just a little bit to get that car through, and then you try to carry as much speed as you can up this uphill S section. It can be so brutal in these cars, and if you miss the first one, you're messed up for the whole rest of them. It's so
it's really
caught up.
It's really a rhythm section through there, and then once the run goes along, your tires are starting to wear out, and you can just feel your car struggling to get through there progressively each lap. It's something you really gotta focus your practice time on and nail it, because it's not really a passing zone, but it's such a large portion of the track that you really have to be pretty good through there.
Yeah, and then when you get close in on somebody, like you said, it's not really a passing zone, so you end up just getting stuck in behind somebody, so you really have to wait till you can get into a braking zone, and that's still after that whole S section and coming into the Dunlap section, where you can kind of get side by side with somebody, and then under braking you can try to make a move, but that whole first section there is so brutal to try to get by anybody. As we're coming up on the 16-minute mark, we'll go back up front with your GT3 cars. As you see Diego Ari out in front and Adam Day still sitting about a quarter of a second behind him, Daniel.
Yeah, these two have been nose to tail pretty much since the drop of the green flag, so this battle is going to at least carry through until the pit stop cycle, and we might see a alternate strategy by one of these guys to maybe pull ahead of the other.
So out in front, they get tangled.
Oh!
Adam goes on the inside of Diego and gets him spun out in that section. Oh man, that is a tough break. And maybe Diego may have braked a little earlier than Adam expected, and he's pulling down on the inside, and Diego is nowhere to be seen right now as he's just now coming down the straightaway. So Adam Day now taking over the lead with Bobby Flack in second, Diego dropping back to third. That was a tough break for him as he drops back almost 7 seconds behind your leader now. And he's got Joey Rutledge in the 4 spot right behind him. Diego just having a rough season this year. He is a super fierce competitor and super fast. It looked like he was going to be, still having a great run sitting in the 3rd spot, but was out in front and pulling a good run going, and just got tangled up a little bit with that. It was a tough break there.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was the only issue there. Got some more replays. Look like JD had an issue about the same time. I don't know if that's in the same spot. It looks like it's through Degner. But Christopher Daniel looks like might have had an issue as well. Here's the Porsche through 130R. Yep. Oh man, he almost had it saved and then it just kept going. See if there's any more.
Looks like he broke something after he tagged the wall as well. So jumping back to Zach Robinson, man, it's like we're saying, that 130R with these Porsches is just, you got all that mass, all that weight sitting back there with that engine, and you're trying to carry so much speed through there that these cars are brutal trying to get through that high-speed section. Getting through the 130R and also getting through turns 1 and 2 is so tough with these. As you see, Andrew Korostecki in the 346 right now, coming through spoon turn, get hung up on that rumble strip just a bit.
Ooh.
And man, there's some close calls coming through there, but he's able to
really good avoidance.
Another close one. And looks like he's able to get it turned back around and get back going. No harm, no foul, luckily for Andrew there.
JD Daniel with another issue, possibly.
Oh, he just kind of get tangled.
Oh, that was an aftermath of that wreck we just saw with Korostecki. So
got tangled up with Elliott just a bit there, as it just kind of trying to cover that same ground and trying to avoid that parked car there, and just kind of got tangled together. As we come back to our GTP car of Grant Turner, hanging out of that 6th spot, coming into that real super tight hairpin and just misses that brake point. Those cars do not have ABS, so man, if you get too hard on those brakes, you just get them locked up and you're just along for the ride. There is no stopping after that. So we're back with Diego Aries, still sitting in that third spot. Looks like he's still about 9 seconds behind your leader of Adam Day. So he's been able to kind of compose himself and hang on to that third spot and try to pull away from Joey just a bit in the fourth spot. So we're closing in on 20 minutes down. 20 minutes down right now. We still got 40 minutes to go. So, Daniel, we're just a third of the way through the race right now, and we've seen a little bit of chaos from everybody. A little surprising right now to see that much action, but looks like we're starting to get into a little groove right now, and maybe we can get a nice run from these guys the rest of the way.
Yeah, I think these guys are going to want to settle in, get to that pit stop, see what they got for strategy, and then kind of finish off the second half strong as we see the battle for GT3 AM between Dominic Angelicchio and Alan Paris going on right now. 6th and 7th overall in the GT3 class, so pretty good run for these amateurs.
For sure. I mean, it was good to see a couple AMs in that top 10. And so right now we've got Dominic up into the 6th spot. This is his best showing so far in this season. Doing a fantastic job out there, running in that 6th spot, your top AM right now. But he's got Alan Paris, not too far back behind him in that 7th spot. So that is a battle for the AM class win. As each class is running, together as GT3s, but the points are awarded separately for the Pro AMs and the AMs. So Dominic Angelicchio leading the way in the AM class right now, doing a great job.
Yeah, we'll jump back up to the lead in the overall for GTP. So Aubrey Cundold still leading, pulled out to a 12-second lead over Justin Barrera. We saw Justin with an issue earlier in the race, but he's rebounded maybe with some help from some issues with his other competitors, but he is up into second again and looking to capitalize, have a good run tonight.
Looks like we had some issues with our early leader of Carson Keene. Carson is off the track and in the pits. Not sure if you can find what happened to him there, but he had some problems as he was our early leader.
Yeah, he
it's kind of just around on me right now.
Side. Pull that back up. So he just came through there, got too much curb, and kind of straddled on the curb. Car wasn't sure which way it wanted to correct, and sent him off into the gravel. So
looks like he may have gotten a little help from his friend right there, though, coming into that section. Tough break for Carson as he was out in front and pulling away. So now out in front is Aubrey Cundell in the 53 car. Aubrey's having a great season this year, and trying to pull away with the championship as he is the points leader right now. With Justin not too far back, and Justin working his way back up into that second spot, about 11 seconds back. So, with Justin lurking like that, like we mentioned earlier, is your leader getting tangled up? As you see, there's a Porsche hitting through that turn 1 and 2, getting sideways and getting up on the section there. Aubrey had to check back and kind of checked into that back of that Ferrari as the Ferrari going off the track right now. As we're jumping around the track right now, I was watching the hairpin section right now, but it looks like John DeVecchi having some problems.
Yeah, we'll take a look at what happened to him here. Yeah, through turn 1. Maybe got on the brakes a little too hard, and looks like the back end just came around on him. So those Porsches struggling. This was one of the tracks that was kind of a surprise, I believe, wasn't it, with when the start of the season? So you didn't know what this race was going to be when you picked your car, and those Porsche drivers are maybe cursing a little bit at whoever picked this track to finish off.
Yeah, I cannot take credit for this track as it was not on my checklist, but as you see, we come back to Will Coffey now. Will back into the 10th spot. Looks like Will had to make a a pit stop. He has made a pit stop earlier and dropped him back to the 10th spot. So I wonder if he got tangled up with somebody or trying to play a fuel mileage game or something. I don't know what he's doing. He is a numbers guy, so it could, there could be anybody's idea right now. But Will sitting in the 10th spot, rounding out that top 10 in your GT3 class. So we're coming up on 25 minutes down, so we're closing in on that halfway point right now. So this is where you might see some fuel mileage tricks. You want to definitely get past that 30-minute mark, as I know he was playing with fuel percentages and make these guys work a little bit to see how they can do. But as we're jumping on right now with Elliott Burton sitting in the 5th spot right now in the 165, doing a good job right now.
He just came out of the pits, so he might have been trying to stop early, maybe get that damage fixed from the earlier run-ins we saw, and get back out there hoping to go to the end on this tank of fuel. So we'll see if he can capitalize on that when the other LMP2 leaders come into the pits.
All right, so let's go back up front with our GTP class. That is Aubrey Condell leading the way right now with about a 6-second back. We'll go back to the 2nd place car of Justin Barrera. Justin trying to come through some lap traffic, and that looks like Diego Ari in the 3rd spot in your GT3 class. But Justin able to go on the inside through that hairpin and hang on to that 2nd spot. Then get about 20 seconds back or so to the 3rd place car of Matt Green. Matt had an early issue early on, and looks like somebody kicking off some dirt there. But Matt hanging on to that 3rd spot. Not too far behind him is Ricardo Serrano. Ricardo actually able to close that gap quite a bit in that 4th spot. Ricardo about a second and a half behind Matt in 4th. And then running in the 5th spot, you've got Grant Turner in the 39 car. He's about 8 seconds behind Ricardo. And then sitting in 6th is Carson Keene off the track right now with a little incident earlier. Then we'll jump over to the LMP class. LMP2 leader still Jack Lee, and he's got a nice cruise, nice casual Tuesday evening drive right now. Has a 10-second advantage on Leon Clover. Leon running in that 2nd spot in the 176 car. Then running in the 3rd spot, Braden Carroll working his way back up into 3rd. Moving up 2 spots right now, but he's still about 10 seconds behind Leon, so we'll have to see if he can close that gap, as Braden is a real quick and hard pushing driver. And then running in the 4th spot is Lilac Zier. Lilac doing a great job, running in 4th, about 12 seconds behind Braden. And then, as we just watched a minute ago, Elliott Burton coming out of the pits running in the 5th spot. So that could be interesting to see how these guys all battle out as we're closing in on just over 27.5 minutes down. We'll jump over to the GT3 class right now. Leading the way in GT3 is Adam Day. Adam did get tangled up with our early leader, Diego Ari, but he's been able to hang on out in front and stretch that lead out on Bobby Flack. Bobby now running in that 2nd spot for Empire Racing, with about 6 seconds behind your leader. And then running in the 3rd spot is Diego Ari in that GPVA Racing Team BMW. Diego had a good showing early on and has just kind of settled back into the 3rd spot, and he's pulled away from your 4th place car now of Joey Rutledge. Joey doing a great job and having a great season. I've talked about him just about every race night that we've had, and it's good to see the progression of Joey. And I mean, he's not driving the easiest car right now, as the Ferraris really have changed quite a bit with the last few updates. And he's doing a great job this season to keep that car in the top 5. And speaking of top 5, running in the 5th spot right now is Dominic Angelicchio. Good to see him running up front. He's leading the amateur class, but man, he's got some serious pressure right behind him from Alan Paris in the 6th spot. So these are your top 2 amateur guys running nose to tail right now. Alan trying to check back just a little bit to let the GTP car go through. But this is going to be a great battle all the way through the end. As you see, the GTP car gets spun out right in front of him. Dominic has to make a move right there, and Alan able to go on the inside. Alan Paris now taking over the lead in the amateur class, and Dominic's going to drop back to the 6th spot. As you see JD Daniel kind of sneak his way through there, jump up into that 6th spot now. So JD up into 6th, and then Dominique dropping back to 7th. Then we'll drop back into the 8th spot in our GT3 class. That is going to be Will Coffey, working his way back up from his early pit stop. So Will up into the 8th spot right now, coming through turns 1 and 2. As you see, the sun is really setting on this track. We really did set this up for it to be a finish in the night race. So this is going to start getting real interesting for these guys, as there is 0 track lights on this track. So it's going to be all headlights of these cars to try to finish this race out, and should make it more interesting for us as well to try to broadcast with just seeing headlights around the track. So we'll keep going down the line right here, running in the 9th spot. Matthew Dweeder working his way back up into 9th after that early kind of runoff in the pit lane, but he's been able to resurrect his races. Ooh, man, he's looked like he's pushing hard, and just on cue, he tags that wall right there, coming into that just before the hairpin, and man, that is a tough section to come through. That's going to drop him back just a little bit now, as he got a couple cars that have already passed by him. It looks like we're back up. Let's see, jump up there to Andrew Korostecki now, running up into the 9th spot. Another guy that's had a pretty good season. Good to see Andrew back in that top 10 right now. And then right behind him is Bradley Alvis, running in the Sudi car, 296. Bradley missed a couple races of this season, but good to see him back out on the track and running in the top 10 right now. And then in the 11th spot is Dweeder after his little incident earlier. Probably used up his fast repair already, so he's going to have to kind of roll around with that damage for a while. And then in the 12th spot is the best beard in the business, Eric Rodriguez, running in the Prosciutto Punch Racing Porsche. We might have to do an in-car with one of these Porsches to kind of listen to them as they lift, but man, they're sideways. It looks like Korostecki, I just mentioned how good of a season he's been doing, or how good of a race he's had, and coming through that treacherous 130R. You might have to just kind of listen to these guys lift through that section, and you can just see it. If you don't lift enough and you're on the throttle, that rear motor just wants to swing around and chase ends on you. So tough break for Andrew. It's going to drop him back a little bit. So we'll go back up and see. There comes Andrew coming in for his pit stop right now. So we're just over halfway point. So it looks like everybody coming in for pits, and a couple guys going up on jack stands to get some tires replaced as well.
Not a surprise with the issues we've kind of seen. These drivers are struggling a little bit with traction and all that. So not surprised to see some tire strategy played. The little bit longer race opens that possibility up.
Yep, so we're just past the halfway point, so it doesn't look like fuel is going to be much of an issue for anybody, as everybody's coming in now with 32 minutes down. So we're just past the halfway point, and everybody should be in good position. So the leaderboard's going to start jumping around quite a bit right now, as you see Matt Green being shown out up front in the GTP class. Aubrey Kundell actually coming around right now to take back that lead. And then we'll come back into our GT3 class, and we'll go to the 15th spot of Jay Fuller in 15th right now in that Ferrari, coming through the 130R section right now and into the hard braking zone of that chicane. And we'll see if he comes into the pits this time by. It looks like he already has come into pit, so he's good to go down the straightaway again. And then we'll go back behind him. Looks like John Javecki still having another problem through that 130R section. He brought it up in that Discord channel earlier this week of asking how, what the trick is to get through there in the Porsche, and evidently he hasn't been able to figure that one out yet. So that it's like we mentioned earlier, that long drawn out fast section like that is little kinks is so hard in these Porsches, Daniel.
Yeah, we will go on board once we kind of get through this field. This is Kevin Medina. He's 17th in the GT3 field. He is the last one on track running. But I think we also had a GTP go off. This is Ricardo Serrano. Yep, he's coming through 130R. And don't know if he had an issue. Maybe went off. Yep, there it is. He just locked it up going into the chicane and had to take the little access road there, and that's going to hurt him a little bit, but did not harm the car very much. So he's back rolling and away.
No harm, no foul. Looks like the Charles Leclerc line through there as the last F1 race at Suzuka. But we go back up front. I think we've kind of covered everybody in the track right now, but back out in front and still pulling away as Aubrey Cundell. Aubrey's really made a late season push in the GTP class and has really done a great job and is pulling away to just over a 7.5 second advantage on Justin Barrera as he's coming up on, it looks like Aaron Rodriguez, and Eric kind of sucked the tire off of the grass, was able to get it collected back and not cause any damage, luckily. But Aubrey doing a fantastic job and just pulling away from Justin. As your whole GTP class has really kind of separated themselves a little bit, with Serrano making that last lap mistake. As you see somebody off in the grass and coming back onto the track there. Looks like somebody blinking out just a little bit as well. Looks like John Javecki still having some issues with his car, but jumping back to a replay with Tweeter, and oh man, just getting off the track, just barely swiped through. And didn't do too well until now. So he did a pretty good job of trying to keep it off the wall, but once these cars touch the grass, they're just, you're a passenger, and Dweeter just says that's enough for me today, and checks out and signs out.
Yeah,
so.
not sure the Ross Chastain line's going to work very well for him, but here's another replay. We have Grant Turner. I think he goes off. Does he lock it up into hairpin again? Yeah. We saw them do that earlier. It's so easy in these GTP cars. The brake-by-wire system kind of gets rid of the feel that you have for some of the braking, and we saw it there, just a lock up and push wide. But I think we have another replay. Here's Jay Fuller. This is coming through Spoon. And
just chase the tail around coming to that second part there. I mean, but one of the elements of this race is with the race coming into night. I mean, that changes so many break points and so many visual cues that you might have, and that might be throwing some of these guys off as we're, closing in on almost 2/3 of the way through the race, and you see in the background the sun is just down, and the track is pretty much just black right now. So. It is definitely, and Aubrey getting off the track just a little bit as well. So it is definitely getting into everybody right now as the track starting to darken up. And as I mentioned, there is no lights on this track at all. It's side by side with Ricardo Serrano and Matt Green going side by side through the S is not the optimum location for passing. As we mentioned earlier, that is a place where you just kind of settle in and wait for that next section. But Ricardo goes by and takes over that third spot and drops Matt Green back into the fourth place as they are nose to tail into that hard braking section, trying to carry a lot of speed in here. Then you climb onto them brakes one more time and into the kind of a little bit of a bowl. And then they drag race down into coming into that hairpin section as Matt Green closing in on that back wing as Serrano goes high. He gets locked up on the brakes just a bit. Matt Green tucks underneath him and takes over that third spot. Ricardo Serrano now is the aggressor right behind him, trying to get by, but this is that ever tricky Spoon turn coming up in front of them. They're coming up through and just hit that inside apex, go to that outside curbing, just kind of wait, and then you get on the throttle. But they've got that lap car in front of them as they're able to get through Andrew Korostecki and just kind of get by. But there's a drag race now into that treacherous 130R. I don't think it's too much of a problem for these high downforce cars as they just dart right into that 130 section and able to hang on to hard under braking into that chicane. Ricardo Serrano all over the back wing of Matt Green as they're coming out of that chicane. Matt having a little bit of a problem through there, and Ricardo had to check up and is going to drop back just about a half a second right now. So Matt Green hanging on to that third spot. Ricardo Serrano dropping back to fourth. Right behind him, as you can see, just watching in the background, the track just getting darker and darker. So we're closing in on 40 minutes down. So we're just about that 2/3 mark right now. Everybody should be good on fuel for the rest of the way, but this is your closest battle on the track right now for the third and fourth spot in the GTP class. Matt Green hanging on to that third spot. Ricardo Serrano dropping back just a bit as they come through the S section and into that hard braking Dunlap area. as they're coming into starting to come up on some lap traffic. And then, I mean, as we've watched in the earlier on Porsches, you really don't know what to expect from them in some of these turns. So Daniel, it'd almost be scary. Oh, as we go back to Ricardo Serrano, it looked like Ricardo's spinning out in that Degner section there. That second part of that, it just got spun out around there, Daniel.
Yep, got curb on the outside and then kind of cut through the apex and into the grass. So he was able to get it slowed down, surprisingly. We've seen how tricky it is to kind of hold your breath as you slide through the gravel or the grass, but luckily he was able to keep it off of the wall and able to keep it going. So he's going to live to fight another day, but he's got a lot of work to do now if he wants to get back into that battle with Matt Green.
Yeah, that was a tough break, and I think this could be attributed to that. You really carry so much speed through that first section. You get up on those rumble strips, and if you push too far, like you said, you get up under that grass, and there is just no stopping you from there. So that's a tough break for Ricardo, but we've mentioned in a few other streams that he is a very aggressive driver, and he is just all out. So that, sometimes that's good for you, and sometimes it does not work out, and that's one time that it did not. But if you go back up front in the GT3 class, looks like we've got a new leader out in front, and that is Mr. Will Coffey leading the way right now, making his way up to the front spot. I'm not sure how that happened, but I just happened to look on the board and saw him leading the way. So Will Coffey now out in front in the GT3 class. Adam Day running in second. Bobby Flack not too far back in third. So that's still a pretty good battle in that GT3 class.
You had mentioned that everyone can make it on fuel, but we're showing Will Coffey pitted on lap 7. So that's about 8 laps earlier than everybody. Oh, there it is. He's got a pit right now. That's how he was able to leapfrog up front. He was on an alternate strategy and able to lead for a while, but he's going to have to come in. That's really going to hurt his chances of taking the win today.
Yeah, there's no bonus points for leading the lap, but Will did get a little TV time leading the way in the GT3 class. So good to see him up front as we jump back into the Adam Day in that Audi. Back out in front and pulling away from Bobby Flack's got about a 3-second advantage right now. Back to Bobby. Looks like everybody really stretched out right now. So everybody's kind of getting into a groove. We've got a few cars off the track and out of the race, so kind of giving everybody a chance to really stretch out and get those legs stretched out and not too worry about each other. No close battles as Will Coffey rejoining the race back in the 5th spot. Jumps in behind Joey Rutledge and ahead of JD Daniel. So Will back out and should be able to make it the rest of the way as everybody else is on a good fuel stop just past the halfway point. So it's kind of settling down in here. Everybody's just getting in a peace of mind. Just been a pretty interesting race up until this point where everybody's getting stretched out. But Will's starting to reel in on Joey, looks like. Joey making maybe possibly a little mistake, and Will closing that gap. And JD Daniel not too far back, so this is going to be the closest battle right now is for 4th, 5th, and 6th through the 130 the hairpin section right there. 3-way battle. As you got JD closing in on Will, but Will fresh out of the pits. I'm assuming he didn't take tires this time, as I would not if he would have, but as they come into the spoon section now, they drift out just to that little section. You just kind of rarely glaze the brakes. As you get on the throttles, you can see Will's car twitch just a little bit as they're drag racing down the back straightaway as we jump on board with Will Coffey sitting right behind Joey into that treacherous 130R section. It's just such a hard turn for anything with a rear engine. As everybody's kind of lifting through there, as you can see some lights flashing in the back with Matt Green trying to come through these guys. But here comes the chicane right here as Will Coffey all over the back bumper of Joey Rutledge down the front straightaway. Matt Green giving a little flash to let him know he's coming by. Try to get tucked in behind some draft and pull back in, but he couldn't quite do it. So Will Coffey about a half second behind Joey right now as they come into the first section. Looks like Will able to drive that car in so much harder than Joey does as he closes in that gap by about 0.3 of a second just in that first section. And now as they're going to be coming up in the S section, like we mentioned earlier, this really isn't a good passing zone, Daniel, but this is where you can definitely see where you can try to push another car along, or put a little extra pressure on somebody and maybe force them to get off the track.
Yeah, you can make up time and close in, and as I know, you can definitely lose a lot of time through that S section. So maybe not the most popular passing zone, but definitely a time you can make up time. And there goes Will to the inside. What a move. He set him up perfectly and just was able to take the inside and get alongside and past Joey there.
Fantastic move from Will Coffey. As you see JD Daniel going on the inside hard under braking, gets past Joey Rutledge. It's going to drop Joey back into that 6th spot. So Will and JD getting by Joey within the last 2 turns. Will Coffey up into the 4th spot. JD Daniel running in 5th, coming in behind. Just battling it out right now as we're just past 45 minutes down. We've got 15 minutes left on the master clock. So your closest battle right now is the battle we're keyed in on right now, the 4th, 5th, and 6th place of Will Coffey in the GT3 class. Will Coffey in 4th, JD Daniel running in 5th, and Joey Rutledge in 6th as they come through that 130R section. Just so gingerly trying to get those cars through there, and then hard under braking here. Let's jump on board with JD Daniel and do a little in-car lap just to watch and sit behind Will Coffey as we come down the front straightaway and maybe see what this dark track looks like. Jump on board with JD here as we're drag racing down that front straightaway. As you can see, it's downhill coming into that first turn. As you get just to this little surface road there, get a little drag of brake right here, trying to keep the car free. Little drag brakes, as you can see him get a little sideways, as it looks like we might have a car flashing behind him a minute ago, but they're coming through that S section, that uphill section. You really don't want to miss any of these turns, because if you miss one, you're missing them all. And if you miss early, this is all such an uphill run that you lose so much momentum trying to get over the top of this hill right here. As you see JD all over that back wing of Will Coffey, about 0.3 of a second back as they're coming down the hill and into that brake zone. Make that hard right-hander, hard on the throttle, and then even harder onto the brakes here, trying to get a good run as JD closes in super close. Is he going to make that same move he did on Joey? Let's see what happens here coming into the hairpin. He makes that same move he did on Joey, but hard, late under braking, and it looks like he's able to hang on to that 4th spot. Good move from, it looks like he may have pushed up Will just a little bit, but good move from JD, making the pass there 2 laps in a row. JD Daniel up into the 4th spot now, and Will Coffey dropped in behind him in the 5th spot. As we're coming around the spoon turn, you can see that just a double apex as you really gingerly through there, and you just get out here on the rumble strips just a bit, and you want to cut this section down just a tiny little bit. So as we jump back out on the track and watch your battle for 4th and 5th with JD and Will still battling it out. 4th and 5th, about a 1/4 of a second back, and Will really getting up on the grass, trying to cut the track just a little bit, trying to get a little bit faster through there, and is able still to close that gap now with about 0.2 of a second as they're coming down the front straightaway. Will Coffey looking for a place to get by. He is all over the back of JD Daniel, trying to pay him back as they're going to be drag racing down the front straightaway. But you've got a GTP car coming up on him. Will Coffey trying to make a move on the inside. He tucks back in behind, thinking that GTP car was going to make a move on him, as Grant Turner trying to put them a lap down, coming out of turn 2 and into the S section. Not the best place like we've talked earlier, Daniel, but Grant actually does the wise thing and just kind of sit back and let these guys go at it. And I think Will was kind of expecting to move and kind of drop back just a little bit. But this is still a great battle for your 4th and 5th spot. It looks like Joey Rutledge dropping back just a little bit from the pace of these guys. Still hanging on to that 6th spot, still having a great race. But your closest battle on the track is that JD Daniel and Will Coffey battle, as you see a couple of the prototypes sneaking their way through to lap them.
I think we had an issue. What is this? This is Zach Robinson, GT3. So he just locked it up. I think that was Aubrey Kundle right there. Maybe getting a piece of it. Yeah, this is him following him through that, and just has to avoid that wreck there.
Yeah,
looks like he was able to keep going though.
Yeah, good. That was, definitely not a big moment. He may have just got a little tiny piece of him, but Aubrey's still able to be out in front and pulling away. Looks like
I do want to jump back and take a look at this move again. Look how deep JD drives on there, sets it perfectly, gets in front of Will, has to drag the brake a little bit just to slow him up, and able to seal him off from making a counterattack. That was beautifully done there by JD.
Kind of like a slide job in a dirt race car. He just kind of came in and took the spot and took the ground away. So JD still able to hang on to that 4 spot, trying to break that draft of Will Coffey. Will sitting behind him about 0.8 of a second back. Will able to close in quite a bit that last time as they come through 1 and 2. So Will's got a good line as he gains about 0.1 of a second there this time by as they're coming through. So still, this is your closest battle on the track right now. Everybody else separated by at least a second or two. This is your closest duo going at it right now with JD and Will. They've been duking it out for the last probably 4 or 5 laps once they get by Joey. But we got less than 10 minutes to go. The track has definitely changed a lot since we started the race, since we started our practice session. As the night has progressed, and it has definitely changed how this race perplexed and just kind of what's going on with it. Your break points all change, your references on the track change, and your perspective of everything changes completely when you go into night racing. And it's just added a great element to this closing race of the season, Daniel.
Yeah, and we can go kind of in a helmet cam from Will Coffey, and you can see this is the visibility. It doesn't look too bad, but man, when you pick a braking point and it gets dark, it could kind of disappear off to the side and into the shadows. And if you didn't practice at night, you could be struggling now with finding your braking point and finding where exactly you want to be on the track. But this gives a great idea of what these drivers are contending with through this last 10 minutes of the race.
For sure. And I remember racing in a 12-hour race here at Suzuka, and there was a car in our split that had so much damage that it had lost its front bumper. And including in that front bumper and front clip was the headlights. So when we went to night racing, he had 0 visibility and no lights to see where he was at on the track. So that was a definite, with no track lights on it, it made it very difficult for him, and he ended up having to come into pits and get all that resurrected. But Will Coffey's still in that 5th spot. He's got Aubrey Kundle right behind him. The guys are teammates, so Will's going to kind of concede and let him go by and hopefully not tangle with our overall leader, Aubrey Kundle, leading the way in that GTP class and just cutting through some lap traffic. So Will Coffey now dropping back just a bit behind JD, about 1.5 seconds back, as we got about 8 minutes left to go, 7 minutes left to go now, closing in on 53 minutes down. So everybody really starting to get into a good groove, as our GTP cars are still kind of cutting through the traffic. But the LMP leader Jack Lee still leading the way. He is just kind of put it in cruise mode right now, it looks like, with a 13-second advantage on Leon Clover, and Lilac up in the 3rd spot now. So that's a good podium for this 3-0 right now. Lilac doing a great job. She's been a long-time competitor in our races, and good to see her leading the way in that, finishing and rounding out that podium spot right now. She's had some rough races in the season, but it's always good to end the season out on a high note, and being on the podium is a good place to be. So Lilac doing a great job there. But it's just, out in front in your GTP class, you've got Aubrey Kundle just leading the way right now. Aubrey doing a fantastic job today, as we're kind of watching over on the helicopter cam right now. with we've got 6 minutes left to go as Aubrey cuts down into turn 1, coming up on the Diego Airy and puts him another lap down. Diego's still hanging on to that 3rd spot in GT3 after getting tangled up with Adam Day. So we'll have to see if there's any protests or anything after this race to finalize points, but that was a little crazy incident to see what happens, and we'll have to see what happens in the post-race going on. But Aubrey Cundell just pulling away. That is in cruise mode, but Justin Barrera not too far back. We've got about 5 seconds back to the juicy one. And you know, it really was, like we noticed, the guys were all fueling right around just past the halfway point. Justin really didn't have to worry about fuel saving, as it looks like everybody's able to make it on just one stop. But we're closing in on that 5-minute mark now. 5 minutes left to go. Cundell out in front, Barrera in second, and then rounding out your podium in the GTP class right now is Matt Green. Matt hanging on to that 3rd spot in the number 40 car. He's, you know, about a quarter of a lap behind Justin, but hanging on to that 3rd spot. Ricardo Serrano rounding out the 4th spot, and then Grant Turner still hanging on to 5th. As it looks like just everybody else is really settling in, and really no close battles right now. Everybody's got a gap of at least 2 seconds right now, which makes it a little easier to try to finish this race out in the dark. So, you know, Daniel, we've seen some early aggressive moves, and, you know, we now have about 8 to 9 cars that are already disconnected and pulled off the track. So do you think that really attributed to everybody kind of getting into a good groove right now, is losing so many cars, or do you just think everybody just got settled in right now?
Yeah, I think everyone's kind of found their pace, and they ended up stretching out, as that's what happens over the course of a race like this. So not surprising to see, and having a couple cars kind of leave through attrition doesn't hurt when it comes to finding free real estate on the track to run your car in. So yeah, I think it's everyone just kind of settled down, hoping to be clean and green through the last 3.5 minutes or so.
For sure. As Ricardo's still hanging on to that 4th spot, and Aubrey comes around, it looks like Aubrey just getting by your leader in the GT3 class of Adam Day. So Adam Day still leading the way in that GT3 class. Bobby Flack about 4 seconds back, hanging on to 2nd. And Diego still rounding out your top 3. Looks like we had the car, was it pulled over, or was it just pulled off the side there? I wasn't quite sure what happened there. Looks like everybody's okay. Just maybe the way I glanced at it, looked like somebody may have been stopped in that apex. But less than 3 minutes left on the clock. Everybody just trying to finalize last few things and not make any mistakes. Zach Robinson doing a little dirt tracking around there. That might have been what I saw, but Zach able to hang on to that Porsche and get through. So good up on Zach to be able to hang on to it. And you know, going back to Zach Robinson, actually he's another one that has really, you know, kind of progressed over the season. He had a great race. I think it was the last race where he was up front in that AM class, and he's really progressed over the season. And this isn't a track to really kind of, in the Porsche, is not, like we mentioned, is not definitely a race that I would have chosen a Porsche for. But Zach doing a fantastic job all this season, and has actually progressed and gotten better each race. So good showing this season from Zach, as we're closing in on less than 2 minutes to go. Your leader, Aubrey Cundell, about halfway through the track right now, coming through the hairpin. So this will be he'll be coming to the white flag this next time by, as the lap times are about 1:46 right now for him. Fast lap earlier was a 1:44, but that was under daylight when you could see all those break points. But Aubrey just still able to hang on to that 8-second lead now. He's able to pull away just a bit from Justin Barrera as he's coming down the back straight right now and into the 130R turn downhill and around. So Aubrey able to come through, and he's going to come through the chicane one more time to take the white flag as he comes down the front straightaway. This will be his final lap. As we said, everybody else has really kind of stretched it out, but we do have a little battle between Joey Rutledge and Alan Paris now as they're coming around for the white flag now. Joey and Alan duking it out right now for 6th and 7th overall. But Alan is leading the amateur class right now. So we might kind of sit there and just let it be, because Alan is your points leader in the amateur class. But this is your closest battle on the track right now between Alan Paris and Joey Rutledge coming out of the spoon turn and down the back straightaway. Alan trying to glide that Porsche into the 130R just 2 more times, trying to keep that car from chasing around as he's closing in on Joey, getting a nice draft down that back straightaway. You hear how early he lifts through there and just kind of chases a little bit of throttle through there just to kind of keep it collected. Hard under braking into the chicane section here. As they come down the front straightaway, this will be their white flag now, as Alan and Joey are going to be battling it out down the front straightaway one more time. As your leader is just now coming through the spoon turn, Aubrey Cundell coming abound for one final lap. It is the white flag for him right now, coming out of that last section of the spoon and down the back straightaway. Aubrey Cundell has done a fantastic job at the end of the season here to really lay it down and getting faster and faster as he's won a couple of the last few races. Coming through the 130R turn one final time, hard under braking on his last lap through the chicane. Aubrey Cundell out in front, just one more turn to get through as he comes around that long, slow, lazy right-hand turn down the front straightaway, and Aubrey Cundell comes down the front straightaway to take the last race win here at Suzuka in WSRL. As we're coming down the straightaway, we got everybody else pretty spread out, but your closest battle is still for Joey and Alan duking it out. As we jump on with Adam Day coming down the back straightaway and through 130R one final time.
Bobby's reeled him in.
Bobby really did reel him in quite a bit on these last couple laps, but it might be just a little too late as he gets within about a second and a half of Adam. Adam may have just been kind of playing safe to try to keep it together, but down the front straight, and Adam comes by to take the win in your GT3 class. Bobby Flack will finish in the second spot. As you see their lap times there, Bobby Flack with a 2 minutes 0.3 and Adam Day with a 2:02.4, so 2 seconds difference between those two on that last lap. That's how Bobby was able to get by to close that gap, as Jack Lee is your winner in the LMP2 class. So great race from these guys as everybody's starting to just kind of finish their way around the track. Will Coffey's going to round out your top 5 in the GT3 class. Good to see Will on the track. He wasn't feeling well today, and good to have him still join us and finish the season out. As Joey Rutledge still battling with Alan, and Alan's going to just tuck in behind him, and Joey will finish in the 6th spot as Alan Paris will finish in 7th. Still got a couple more cars to finish on the track. Looks like Dominic just came by the line. Still waiting on Lilac, comes by. There we go. And we're just waiting on Grant Turner one more time. Looks like Bradley is done as well. So we just got a couple cars still to just finish. And then we should hopefully be able to get our final results up. Looks like everybody is done now. That is a race, guys. That have been a great race, Daniel. Maybe we can get the final results up if we have learned how to do that. I know we had talked about that yesterday. Still learning how to operate all this fun stuff. And as we watch a couple of the cars come into pit lane for one final time. And here we go. There is our race results. Your GTP class taking the win, Aubrey Cundell. Finishing in that 2nd spot, Justin Barrera, about 9 seconds back. And then in the 3rd spot went to Matt Green. Ricardo Serrano finishing in 4th. And Grant Turner will round out your top 5 in the GTP class. Then finishing in the LMP2 class, Daniel, why don't you go ahead and take this one for me real quick?
Yep, LMP2 results on your screen now. Jack Lee continues his strong run on this season, taking home the win in LMP2 here at Suzuka. Leon Clover taking home second. Lilac Zier rounds out the podium in third. Elliot Burton and Braden Carroll completes the top five. Then we'll go ahead and look at GT3 Pro-Am. We have Adam Day taking the win, holding off a hard-charging Bobby Flack there right at the end to keep his win alive. Diego Aire coming home third. JD Daniel in fourth. Will Coffey holds on and rounds out the top five. Joey Rutledge in sixth. And then you got Bradley Alvis and Christopher Daniels, seventh and eighth. Zach Robinson in ninth. John Javicki in 10th. And then a couple more drivers here. Kevin Medita, Jay Fuller, and Matthew Dweeder with some early struggles. Looks like he was not able to complete all of the laps this evening. But we'll go ahead and look at GT3 AM. And we got Alan Paris taking the win. I think that's going to lock up the championship for him. Dominic Angelicchio coming home second. Eric Rodriguez in third. Andrew Korostecki in fourth, and then your non-finishers, Billy Bowerman and Stephen Finch, to round out your field tonight. Mike, you coordinating some interviews, I believe?
Yeah,
see if
looks like I've got one here in the waiting room right now. We will pull him in. And that was your winner in the GTP class and your overall winner in GTP. Aubrey Kendall, congratulations on the win and congratulations on the point championship here in Season 3.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
How'd your race go there, Aubrey? It looked like it was a pretty decent race for you and going pretty good. It looked like you had one close call there with a GT3 car in the hairpin, but other than that, how did your race go?
Yeah, no, it went good. I had a GT kind of check up on me in an Apex, and I got damage on the car before that pit stop. So I think my last 3-4 laps before pit, I had some damage, and it was kind of slowing me down a little bit. But once I did the pit, and it was all good from there. So not too bad. Everyone was racing pretty good.
Awesome. It looked like no real fuel mileage issues at all with this class or this race at all, and you guys seemed to all kind of get into a groove there about halfway through, and you were able to pull away. And Justin Barrera was kind of lurking back there. Were you concerned with him being back there, knowing just his pace and whatnot?
Yeah, I was a little bit before the pit stop because he was catching me pretty good there, and I just wanted to make sure I stayed in front of him to come out of the pits. And then I was just kind of seeing where he was and kind of gauging that gap and just kind of going off of that, not having to go too crazy with it. And then just try to be safe in traffic.
Well, you were definitely safe in traffic, and you really did a fantastic job here at the second half of the season with a couple wins. Congratulations on your points overall win, Aubrey. And you want any shout outs or anything for before we let you go?
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for getting this up and going ahead and doing the broadcast tonight. So thanks a lot for that. And then just thanks for Mr. Coffey for putting this on.
Definitely, yeah. Will has done a fantastic job of keeping this afloat and going, and we'll definitely talk to him here shortly. But Aubrey, go relish in this victory and your season championship. Congratulations, and we look forward to see you the next season.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you. All right, that was your winner in the GTP class. Then we'll jump over into the LMP2 class. Your winner in the LMP2 class, and really pulling away here at the end of the season as well. Jack Lee, congratulations on your LMP2 win here at Suzuka, but also congratulations on the overall points championships. It's been a great season for you, Jack.
Thank you very much, Mike. I know I practiced a lot for it. I put in a lot of hours. And I'm glad to see it paid off. Suzuka is definitely one of the tracks coming in where I knew I struggled a lot to find pace. And so I had to put in lap after lap and a lot of times they end up in spins, especially in like turn seven. You just get on the throttle a little bit too much. You think you have it, but with the LMP2s, it's asking you for more that it just can't deliver on. It has more power than downforce, and honestly, it's a lot of fun to drive.
It looked like
So
you had a great race going on. Every time we kept checking in on you, you had a good gap of in front and behind you. So did you just seem to get into a groove on your own and just kind of stay out of trouble, or did you have any real troubles the whole race?
definitely got into a groove where I just decided like early. I saw I had a gap behind. Immediately, I'm like, I can start saving fuel. I don't have to drive the car as hard, and that's exactly what happened. I took my time making overtakes. I tried to be as respectful to everyone else as possible. Especially 130R can be so hairy for those GT cars because they're just completely on the edge and trying to make moves that aren't on can just end someone's race. And I think that was the key for this entire championship is keeping a clean car, keeping it on track, and staying out of other people's cars for the most part. Uh,
You definitely nailed it there, Jack, and just saying the right things. You definitely kept the car clean, you kept it straight, and you were able to take the overall league championship in the LMP2 class. While we got you up here, before we let you go, you want to give a shout out to anybody, thank anybody while you're here?
well, first of all, thank you to you all for getting this broadcast up and running. I know my family really appreciates it. My mom and dad have been trying to follow along as best they can. Uh, and big thank you to Will for putting on this league. I know we're taking a break, and I look forward to coming back and potentially having another good season. But who knows what the future holds? So, uh, big thanks there. And other than that, I I'm just glad that I was able to come through with this. I had a lot of fun racing against everyone. Big shout out to Elliot. He gave a lot of uh, good challenge on a lot of races, and Braden as well. He had a lot of pace. Uh, just had some unlucky races, and I'd like to thank the rest of my field and everyone else for having such a great season.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, Jack, on winning tonight, and as well as the point championships. And we look forward to seeing you next season.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you. Have a good night. All right, and that is your LMP2 winner. We'll jump into the GT3 class, and your GT3 Pro-Am winner is Adam Day. Adam, congratulations on taking the win in Pro-Am class. How did your race go for you?
It was okay. I feel pretty bad. I got into the back of Diego, I think, on lap 8 or 9, and but other than that, it was a good race until it got dark, and then it was treacherous. So you know, but a win's a win, so I'm happy. You know,
Yeah, it definitely changed the demeanor of the race when it goes into dark without any track lights on this. So
yeah,
you lose all your vantage points, all your brake points. It just changes your complete driving style.
yeah, dude.
But
I saw all the track the last lap.
and that's how probably Bobby closed in on 2 seconds on you on that last lap.
Yep.
But we'll jump back into that section with Diego. It looked like he may
Yeah.
have. Did he break a little hard on you, or just not as
Yeah.
expected?
Yeah. He broke. I don't. I felt like he broke a little bit harder and kind of parked it on the apex a little bit, but still my bad for getting in the back of him, right? But
But yeah, it
yeah,
looked like you guys had a
tough.
great battle going up until that point. Diego's a
Yeah.
fierce competitor and has a lot of pace. So
Yeah. He
um,
wasn't giving me an inch.
no, he does not. I've raced many times with Diego, and yeah, he does not give you anything. So,
No.
but it
No.
looks like you should be able to be pulling away with the championship in points as well. So congratulations on that as well. Um,
Appreciate that. Thank you.
you've had a fantastic season, but I think you really only had maybe like one incident, if I remember correctly, early on into the season. Um, but everything else has been pretty
Yeah.
clean for you. How do you think the whole season went for you this year?
It was really good. I didn't know what to expect coming into this league, being new, and um, no idea if I had the pace. Turns out I did, so I'm happy about that. Yeah, all in all, the season was good. Yeah, I had a couple hiccups, some
Good.
pit issues at Hungaro Ring, kind of put me down on that one, and then I had some incidents at Sebring, which wasn't the greatest for me either. But all in all, it was a great season for me. So
Awesome.
I'll
Well,
take it.
congratulations on the season and the race tonight, Adam. Is there anybody you want to thank while you're up here in the booth with us?
Yeah, you guys, and Will for doing all the work.
Will doesn't do any work. What are you talking about?
Right? No, but seriously, and it's a ton of work to organize a league and try and keep everybody happy. And kudos to you guys. It's great. It's been a lot of fun, and just thank the family for letting me do this on Tuesday nights and allowing me to hide in the basement for a couple hours.
But just make sure you pay him back because it is Taco Tuesday, so you have to get them tacos to
Yes,
take care of them. So,
right on.
but congratulations, Adam, and having a fantastic season. It's been fun having you along, and we look forward to seeing you next season.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Bye.
And now we're going to jump into our amateur class. We'll go to our GT3 amateur winner of Alan Paris. Alan, you took the win tonight in GT3 AM class. Driving a Porsche, which seemed to be a challenge for a lot of people. So how was your race in that lovely car around Suzuka?
I think the Porsche in the setup we had was not built for success tonight. So I think 130R turn one to some degree, I think were super sketchy if you were really pushing. So try to just cozy through there and just take it easy because it was not confidence giving. That's for sure. So got a little lucky and focused just on survival.
Yeah, that was definitely the name of the game. And what turns 1 and 2 is also probably a little hairy in the Porsche as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, any of those kind of high speed entry, kind of high apex speed, were all just a bit sketchy tonight.
So how did your race go besides having to really kind of back the car up a little bit? Did you have any, real tangles? Did the dark really play into anything for you, or just how did the progression go?
Yeah, I had a bit of a messy start. I think it started 3 wide with Joey and Billy Bowerman. Billy and I got together in the beginning, so apologize for that if that impacted his race at all. But after that, luckily there was no damage to the car, and just tried to hit the fuel marks. And then nighttime was really hard around this track. I did very little practice for this week, and there was no practice at night, that's for sure. So as it went full dark, it was pretty hard to hit your apexes and hit your marks. So luckily it was only a short time period in the dark, but survived at the end of the day.
Great drive from you as well as your Mad Sim Racing counterparts. Congratulations on your win tonight, as well as your overall championship in the amateur class. While you're up here in the broadcast booth, is there anybody you want to thank or give us a shout out to?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys, first of all, I know you guys put together a broadcast at the very end, which was super welcome. It's always fun to be able to watch these races. So thanks for all the effort you guys put in all season. Big thanks to Will to organize the league. Great group of people racing here, and just makes it a ton of fun week in, week out. And then thanks to the Madsen team and teammates Chris, John, and JD for doing some prep and strategy throughout the season. And luckily we're able to get some good results out here.
Awesome. Well, Alan, it's been a pleasure having you along this season. Congratulations for your overall championship, and we look forward to seeing you next season.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you. All right, Daniel, that brings all our winners to a close here, and I think it's time to bring one other person into our booth right now. I heard him knocking on the door. I wasn't going to let him in, but I guess I kind of let him in. So, Mr. Will Coffey, first off, thanks for joining us tonight. I know you weren't feeling under the weather all day today, but you know what? You sucked it up. You drugged yourself up and got yourself out here. Congratulations on what was that, top 5 you got?
Yeah, I ended up, I think, 5th. Yeah, I had to come and hang out with my boys. I was like, I'll suck it up.
Well, as we're watching the replay right now, we're watching the replay where JD just got you in the 180, that little hairpin section there. Man, did he full send on you or what through there?
I was just like, okay, is this what we're doing? I was like, all right. I mean, honestly, I didn't have a lot for him, and he is faster, so I was just kind of like, I knew eventually he'd get it, but I didn't know. I didn't know that was the spot that we were destined to exchange. But, it's just one of those things. My tires were, he had Jim yelling at you, saying like, you gotta baby these bad boys so you don't get a meatball. So I knew you would.
You had that message.
Oh yeah, twice actually, because it does it per tire.
Well,
So,
Will, while we got you up here, everybody that I just, interviewed, all 4 classes that we interviewed, everybody thanked you. So, from the bottom of my heart, and as Daniel as well, thank you, Will, for running this league. Thank you for dragging us along, and and thank you for trusting me as being as a behind the scenes admin for you. But fantastic job this season. You did a great job of running the league. Let's give you your soapbox. Let's give you your time. What would you like to say to anybody and everybody right now?
Just a overwhelming, resounding thank you. This was kind of an experiment that just kept on rolling, and I made some friends and kind of basically found people that I never in a million years thought I would be like hanging out with, trusting and stuff like that. Like you, for instance, like we were always battling on the track, and then the more I got to know you, the more I'm like, this is a guy I needed behind the scenes with me. So I really, really appreciate you. You helped me pick up everything for the season, getting it rolling, the streaming and all that stuff. Like it's been fun to watch you like progress and grow. And same with Daniel. So, like along with that ride with you, it's like you're definitely progressing. I could watch. It's fun watching you guys and get a little better each time, and like have you like your moments where you get to see you guys shining. But with the league, man, like it's been fun. It's everyone calls it like a thankless job. Honestly, there's times when you get a little frustrated about some things, but overall, like I had a great time, a really, really great time. It's like we've done 3 sprint seasons and 1 endurance, and honestly, man, it's been a blast just getting out there and riding with people that they care about driving safe. They at least they do their best, and then you watching people grow, you watch them get faster, and it's just like the closest you'll get to real life actual racing, where you actually have your friends and they're getting a little faster and they're studying, and then you go back out the next week with them. It's a blast, man. And so like all that effort is no problem. I'm glad that they're happy. Thank you so much. Back to them, like this wouldn't have happened without them. But thank you, man. It's been a blast. So I just needed a little break over the summer. I gotta reintroduce myself to my family and let my son know he has a father, kind of thing, with school and work and everything else going crazy right now. I just needed a little bit of a break because I'm running thin. So we'll be back at it. I just need to reset the brain,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you mentioned, talking about watching drivers progress. Just in the seasons that we've had, watching people like Jack Lee and Joey Rutledge and who else? There's a few other guys that just you've seen the progression from when they started running with us. And Jack Lee now, finishing out the last 3 races he won and won the overall points championship. To last season he was kind of in the middle of the pack the whole time. So like you mentioned, that the league is being a growing port and learning your driver's craft and just learning how to drive and get better and better. It's thank you to you for helping us keep this league going and show these guys and teach them their racecraft.
No, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I don't think I'm doing much teaching out there. These guys are pretty darn fast. But yeah, you're right, man. It was cool. Like, our boys like Bowerman and everything else, that's just all of a sudden you're like, where did that speed come from? Like, they're obviously putting in the work and they're bringing it here, which is like kind of an honor. They're like, all right, they're doing their homework, and it's for the league, and you're watching them just get faster, and then they're just getting vicious out there in the officials. So it's fun when your friends are just like out there kicking ass, So yeah, it's been a freaking great ride, man. Again, thank you so much for what you guys do and everything else. Like I said, I can't be understated, like the stuff that you've done in the background, and then getting everything organized, and then keeping me sane through the process. So thank you.
That's a little difficult to do, but yeah, I've done my best to try to keep you going. But just like I said earlier, Will, I mean, I don't mean to step on Daniel. Daniel, do you got anything you'd like to say to the man while he's in here?
Oh, just thanks for taking a chance and letting me come along for the ride. I really like what you're doing with this league. It's put on a great show, and it's really fun to watch, and it's fun to be a little bit of a part of. So, great job, keep it up, and look forward to seeing what you got next, kind of coming up later when you've got a chance to recharge your batteries.
Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, I want to see what's happened with like a couple of the cars that are projected to come out, and then get the league's feedback, do a little testing. We'll see what's up. I mean, I've liked what we've got so far, but I think it's time for just a little bit of a change. I don't know, maybe not a huge change, but a little change here. We'll see what everybody wants to drive. That's what's important to me, is just that we all want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Daniel, thank you, by the way. So like, it sucks that you're not out there with us. It's fun normally driving alongside you, but like having you guys up in the broadcaster booth is like makes me feel good, because I know you guys are up there just touting the good praises of like all the awesome drivers that we have. So thank you.
Except for that Will Coffee guy, because he spins it a lot.
This league, this season has been the season of hell for me. Like I swear I'm faster than this. Like my wife's watching and making fun, and then you guys are poking fun back at her, which is funnier. But like it's just man, I have had to learn some lessons, man, this season. So I guess that's what it's all about.
So
Getting humble.
What you're trying to say is I'm not invited to dinner at your house the next time I'm in Arizona?
No, you are definitely invited, because I can't wait to see what the dynamic of that is. I'm a big I'm a people watcher. It's gonna be fun to watch. It's kind of like that Jesse Pinkman at Breaking Bad sitting there when the when they're fighting it today. I was like, and just sit back, watch.
Right, watch. That would be interesting. But Will, again, thank you, my friend, and I look forward to see what we have coming up in the future.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you guys. Thank you again.
Thanks, buddy. All right, Daniel, that does wrap up our season. This is your first season with WSRL. How do you sum up our season that we've had this year?
That was a lot of fun. Disappointed that it's kind of come to an end. It's been a blast, and had fun learning the ropes of up here in the broadcast booth. The first time I've kind of done something like this, so it's been a great learning experience for me. It's been a bunch of great racing to watch, and it's been cool to see the progression of this league, and I can't wait to see what happens with it going forward. So all in all, good for me, and can't wait to see what's on the horizon.
Definitely. And Daniel, thank you for being my color commentator. We've had a great time. You and I have raced together now for a couple years, and it was fun to get you in this role and to see you progress as well. Like that Will said, just seeing people progress and just having you in the booth with me has been a blast, and I look forward to next season with us, as WSRL season number 3 is going to come to a close, but Grand Tour Racing Syndicate will be coming up soon. So please stay tuned to us, and make sure you guys get into our broadcast and into our Discord channel, and we will keep you guys abreast. But for Daniel Hall doing the production and color commentary, doing the double duty tonight, thank you, Daniel. I am Mike Braun, and this is the final broadcast of season number 3 here at the WSRL race. Thanks for watching.